Hello and welcome, my name is dragondrop and this is the joinDOTA League. Meet your makers, MYM versus Sigma International. Both of these teams sitting fairly low in the standings right now. Meet your makers sitting at 7 and 9, whereas Sigma sits at 5 and 7, so both of these teams should do alright and should end up in Division 1 next season, but if Meet Your Makers wants to make it to the finals, then they have a hard road ahead of them. And they definitely need both of these games right now. So, we'll see how it looks after this match tonight. As we see the Ember Spirit picked up right away. Sigma International banning out the Naga Siren. Matt actually mentioned that on Twitter earlier today. And the Enchantress also banned out. So very targeted bans, whereas Meet Your Makers goes for the standard bans in the current meta right now. Lycanthrope and Invoker, and I really like the Lycanthrope ban. Frankly, I'm getting sick and tired of seeing him and his push strats coming out, because they're so hard to deal with if you don't have the right lineup for it. I mean, basically either needs a ganking lineup that can put a lot of pressure on him early and keeps him down with a couple of kills, or you need a lineup that can deal with his push in a way, and can basically hold the base against the Lycanthrope. And both of these strategies against him are really, really risky. So banning him out, probably the best way to go right now. Nyx Assassin, another hero that's very popular all around the meta, and that's just because he's so versatile. You can work him in a in a large amount of lineups. You can stick him in the offlane. He's gonna find his farm. He doesn't need a whole lot, just arcane boots and a blink dagger really. And he's always going to find the levels to be effective on the map. Rubik, strong support. We'll see whether he finds some good spells to steal. I mean, from Ember Spirit, Flame Guard is always nice. And the Searing Chains as well. Sleight of Fist, not so much on Rubik, of course. But yeah, the Grand Magus, always a nice choice and opens up the possibility of an aggressive tri-lane if they want to go for something like that. Or really good defensive tri-lane as well. I mean, he gives you that bit of control. If you pick up another hero that has some nuking damage, something like a Visage, then you can make that work. And will probably win your tri-lane, unless you have something like a Bane Mirana against you that has an equal potential. Bane, a go-to hero for Sigma, really. They've been trying to pick... whenever they get the chance, they will pick that Bane Mirana combo. So we'll probably see Meet Your Makers ban Mirana out as a direct result of that, but Bane, good hero nonetheless. There are a few other heroes that can work out as Nightmare, someone like a Leshrac. Don't see him all that often because he is quite one-dimensional, because it basically only gives you nukes and push. But not a whole lot of else. No support abilities that can heal you, stuff like that, and the stun is not the most reliable because it's not the easiest to hit. Bane, on the other hand, has the Nightmare to take someone out of the fight. Field Script going through BKB is always nice to have available on your team, so all around solid pickup. Quite survival with Brain Step too. And if you want to go an early point into Enfeeble, that opens up the potential to try and shut down the farm of the enemy carry, so nice choice. As they dip into the bonus time, really thinking about their fourth ban right now, after taking out the Slaughter. Clockwork also not gonna be joining us, courtesy of Meet Your Makers. So the draft pretty much open right now. Ember Spirit, probably heading to the middle lane. I think it's pretty much set, that's where most teams run him. He can be run in as a farming role as well. I don't really like that, because unless you want to run him as a really active carry, someone like a Mirana, someone that starts off in the safe lane, in tri-lane or safe lane farm, but then starts rotating around once he gets his levels and basic amount of farm, just like the mid role does. Because if you don't do that, you're really wasting his potential, and because the Ember Spirit does a surprising amount of early damage with the Seam Chains and the Flame Guard. And also some burst damage coming up from the Remnants if he chooses to use them offensively. But defensively he's also pretty good, with Flame Guard being very strong in the early levels, soaking up so much magic damage, and then of course having the ability to leave a Remnant behind and then jump to that if things get too sticky. So if you can make use of that potential as early as possible, then you're pretty much set for the late game as well.
Reserve time.
But Ember Spirit basically has a slump between at the later stages of the mid game, going into the late game, where he doesn't quite yet have all those items that he really wants. But where his magic damage starts to fall off. Beastmaster gonna be a pickup. It might be Nyx Assassin support. Don't really like that, but together with the Rubik it might just work out. Being able to set up that Impale, which would leave Beastmaster the offlane available, but he might as well go middle. But against an Ember Spirit, melee on melee, not the best matchup, so not quite sure if I agree with that draft.
5 seconds.
I mean, you have a lot of other really good mid heroes that can match up against an Ember Spirit. I mean, you've seen Shadow Fiend yesterday in a Tactic Hive Beta Cup match that wrecked the Ember Spirit. Wasn't entirely on the good play of the Shadow Fiend, but he was taking advantage of the overextensions from the Ember Spirit at that point. Yeah, we're gonna see the Centaur, so probably the offlane choice for Sigma, unless they want to do something else with it. I've seen support Centaurs that then transition out of that into their standard role as initiators once they get their farm. I've also seen safe lane farming Centaurs, so everything's possible with that hero.
5 seconds.
He's very similar to the Slaughter to some degree. I mean, he has the Blink Stun available, and he usually wants to build that Blink Dagger after the Tranquil Boots. And then he can follow it up with a pretty potent nuke, and the Slaughter doesn't usually have that option. Unless he gets maybe a couple of bashes on the amplified damage. And the Stampede, quite good if you want to run away or want to initiate with your whole team. So, not the worst spell in the game by any chance. And he has quite a decent strength gain, so he's quite survivable. There's gonna be the Doom, and that's a really nice pickup, I have to say. Probably can be the mid hero, or can be the safe lane farmer. But once again, you have a melee hero. But if he gets a couple of levels up, 2 levels into Scorched Earth and a nice creep, then you will be able to deal with the harassment coming up from the Ember Spirit. So ultimately, probably a better choice for the middle lane, because I don't think the Beastmaster will be able to do all that well, even though he has the Whirling Axes available to get some CS, but can't constantly spam that out as they're quite costly on the mana side. They really have to have the rune control or the bottle crowing to make that viable. But yeah, one thing about the Doom is that he shuts on Ember Spirit so hard later on, more so than other carries. Because Ember Spirit relies on the Sleight of Fist later on to do most of his damage, and he also relies in the mid game on his elusiveness with the Remnants. But if he's doomed up, he can't jump to his Remnant. So it gives you all the time you need to try and bring him down, and he is quite squishy throughout all stages of the game, even if you build survivable. Something like a Lincoln's or a BKB, you can still bring him down if you can just catch him, so that Doom Ultimate will be able to ensure that for them. And there's gonna be the Treant Protector. Only see a few teams run it as often nowadays. I mean, he had a pretty good time when Living Armor was still super good. I mean, it's still crazy good, but not as good anymore. They nerfed at some point, and as a result, Treant Protector fell off, but some teams still run them on quite a regular basis. Sigma, one of them, Ruxskills would be another one. And it basically makes it so that you have to commit on towers if you want to take them down. If you don't, if you try to rely on chip damage, then he's just going to be able to heal them up, and there's not a whole lot of push coming out from Meteor Makers right now. Not a whole lot of push at all. They basically rely on right clicks and some skills to be able to spam down the creep waves. And Slark with the Dark Pact can help that out, Rubik with the Fate Bolt, the Whirling Axis would do a good job, but they don't have strong tower push until Beastmaster gets maybe gets some points up into the inner beast to have that attack speed and that raw brute force damage to bring them down. That's gonna be the Viper, okay. Nice, interesting pickup. And Viper's a hero that can work really well early on, but he does rely on being able to snowball off of that, off of winning his lane. And against most heroes he will be able to, simply because he can dish out so much harassment damage with the poison sting, or with the poison attack early on. So it does fall off late game, but Sigma looking for a timing window in the early mid game, I believe. Very gank oriented, very teamfight oriented. But they do have late game options in the form of the Ember Spirit, and inside of MYM don't really see that. I mean, Slark can get huge, but he's always gonna be squishy if you can only catch him. And with the Fiends group available, if Bane manages to get that off. But at the end of the day, pretty well-rounded lineups on both sides, to be honest. Both have good initiators with Nyx. Once he gets the Blink Dagger up, Beastmaster roll always gonna be great, especially if he gets an Aghanim's at 4-second cooldown. Quite potent, you're always gonna have that available. Doom. Eventually he will be quite tanky and hard to bring down, so... Then on the other side, Ember Spirit with the potential that he has, Bane with the amount of control that it gives you, Green Protector to get them through the early game. And the Overgrowth, the later the game goes, the more important that spell's gonna become, so... Then the Viper, mid-game monster if he gets off to a good start.
30 seconds to shoot.
Alright, doesn't look like we have a lot of action early on, so let's run through our lineups. We've got Miguel on the offlane, Centaur Warrunner, so pretty standard there. Beta, gonna head to the middle lane on the Viper, which leaves Paz with a lot of signs after his name. He's gonna play the support Bane, which leaves Paris on the carry Ember, and Mad on the Treant Protector. They're gonna play some early wards. Vision on both rune spots are... they had a ward down here, but it got dewarded, it seems. Region Moon gonna spawn. Probably the most useless rune early on. But yeah. And not having a ward down there, really gonna hurt Miguel. He has to be really careful about his positioning. Can't go too far out. But before we talk about that, let's take a look at our other lineups. We've got Exist. Gonna be on the Beastmaster up against a Viper, so... Similar to the Ember Spirit, not gonna have a good time here. But Viper went for the Nether Toxin first, so he'll be able to have these last hits. Ace actually going full-time jungle for now, found himself a Hellbear Smasher. Mini doing the pulls on the Nyx Assassin, which leaves Crit on the Rubik, and Slark in the carry position played by Unicorn, battling up against Miguel. And yeah, he has to be careful with these supports rotating around. But he's always gonna have that tree and armor to be able to help him out in that situation, so... He can play a little bit more, a little bit more aggressively than even the Centaur normally would without having vision, so... Now he's actually gonna go to try and disrupt the pull, trying to leech some experience maybe. And yeah, Mini Crit not wanting to go to that. He takes the big creep, but experience is gonna be shared. And yeah, Miguel. Playing very ballsy, he's gonna need a stun for his troubles, but now he turns around with the tree and armor. Doesn't make him invincible, so he has to be careful about that still. But not a whole lot of early damage coming out of these two supports. They have some decent amount of control, Crit actually not skilling anything just yet. But yeah, they have control, but they don't have a whole lot of damage early on. At least not until Rubik gets some points up into the Fate Bolt, or if Unicorn is there. He's also holding on to some of the skill points. Yeah, middle lane. Exist taking a lot of damage. Veta now with that poison attack. Able to dish out a whole lot. Bottle not quite there yet for him. So he's gonna have that in a little bit, and the first blood actually gonna come out on Centaur. Alright. He's talking about the tree and armor, but it wasn't cooldown. It was used, but wasn't quite enough, so... Looked like a Rubik into Unicorn. That's about it, okay. Didn't expect him to die that easily, to be honest. Not only against two supports. Oh, two heroes instead of three. So yeah. First blood goes the way of Meteor Makers. Gonna be really happy about that. That's gonna be signed for Centaur, alright. Gotta stay back a little bit. Especially since I don't have vision here in the jungle. It's usually what you want to have if you play the offlane. Just want to put a ward right here. It watches the rune, and it also watches this entire area and keeps you safe from rotating supports. Want to come through the jungle. But one thing you have to consider, Paris is getting complete free farm up in this top lane. He's not contested at all. So he's sitting at 20 CS right now, hasn't missed too much. Fata right up there with him as well. And exists with the with the whirling axis able to get some decent CS in this middle lane, but not as much as he would like. But I think they knew that, they must have known that. Even against an Ember Spirit, Beastmaster wouldn't have the best time. Against the Viper is not really different. They might find a Miggle here. Ace is there. He's got a hoof stomp. That's gonna be the lift. Try and get him on top there, but hoof stomp. The first one coming from the centaur. Ace is still his available. Spike Carapace. Are they gonna get him? No, they're not gonna commit too much. Ace not opting for that counter centaur stomp, if you will. It would be quite ironic. It's also cool if you have a Doom and a Centaur on your team and you have double Centaur stomps. So it's actually called Hoof Stomp, whereas the other ability is called Wall Stomp. So slightly different, but essentially the same thing. This does a little bit less damage, not a whole lot of damage, but has 2 seconds stun. Yeah, hero stun 2, stun duration 3 on everything else. Quite decent to have on a Doom that doesn't really have that lockdown. All he has is a mini stun coming from level death once he chooses to level that, but not exactly lockdown, more like interruption if you want to try and get someone
Guess what's happening to Dyer's
off a teleport or something like that. But yeah, no kills were had that day, and he's just gonna go back to the jungle, farm up a little bit more. Yeah, exists bottle crowing as hard as he can. And that's the only thing that gets him some CS, because if he gets too close, he's gonna take a lot of harassment damage. Viper Strike is now up as well. And these supports, well, only level 3. But just a little bit ahead of the Meteor Maker supports. They have the whole jungle available for them, complete free farm, whereas Crit and Mini are sometimes dragged off these duties to try and zone out. What the hell? Mouse is broken. Alright, try to zone out Miggle. But yeah, at this point Unicorn, he has this level 6, so he has the ultimate available, so he should be alright pretty much no matter what. It's gonna be an illusion rune. Exist gonna be happy to find that. He's already used bottle charges, and Crit gonna take care of that creep wave here in the meantime. But yeah, Fata rotating out, getting some jungle farm, because he can do that right now. With the levels up with the corrosive skin, means he doesn't take too much damage, and with another toxin and the poison damage that he has, he can farm the jungle quite effectively without losing too much health, and this leaves Bane open to soak some semblance of experience in this middle lane. Really like them doing that. But still, he's quite far away from his level 6. Miguel also only level 5, so maybe looking to go on him. The question is he gonna hit the stun? Not gonna go for it. Unicorn a little bit too far off to be able to follow up, so probably the right decision not to go for this. Middle lane though? Pass is still hanging around. He has a nightmare to brain stab, and Crit would die from that. Also banging on him. Doesn't have smoke, so Crit should be able to see him, especially with that high ground ward up here near the ancient area, so not gonna get caught out just yet. And yeah, he notices, he knows what's up. Smart ward placement. Realizing that they must know what's going on, so now Crit has to play a little bit more scared, not able to rely on that vision anymore. It was a pretty fresh ward too, was there for 2 or 3 minutes. Meanwhile, on top lane, Mini went up here to soak some of the experience.
Radiant's top tower's hurt.
Sigma not opting to try and put pressure on the tower yet, just did the pulls to get some levels of supports.
Radiant's
And now
tower's in bad shape.
Mini up here, level 4, almost level 5. Yeah, Parrot's gonna go for him. Searing Chance gonna come up. Spike Carapace and the stun coming back. But 2 levels into Flame Guard means he doesn't take a whole lot of damage. They need some support rotation, but not gonna be in time as Mini dies. There was an engagement in the middle lane where Rubik died, now, but now Unicorn looking for blood. Gets stunned up though, now support's rotating in. He's looking for the Leech Seed.
Radiant's mid tower could use a hand.
And yeah, it's gonna be Unicorn dead. And Ace died behind that as well to something. A lot of action, all at once, all across the map, so. And they pay 3 and they only get the Bane in return. Fata is not done yet, exists now in a lot of trouble, being slowed down. No Viper Strike, and there's gonna be the Telekinesis into the follow-up and Impale. Fata gonna try to get back, but with the poison damage coming out on Mini, able to interrupt the teleport, but Exist might still die. Fata going to town, fighting up against the Viper. Not exactly easy because he does damage to you, even if he doesn't, just because of corrosive skin. Even if he doesn't attack you, so. Fata doing work. But yeah. Nice by Carapace there, working on the damage over time. There's actually big stacks in the jungle, so. And yeah, Unicorn's gonna take this. And that'll put him quite well ahead. Maybe not ahead, but lets him catch up to the Ember Spirit and the Viper. He's trying to farm it up slowly with the Dark Pack.
Top tower's taking hits.
But yeah, they need to start making use of the Slark. I mean, he did get, no, he didn't get that kill. Yeah. He wanted to go for Miguel, who was very low, but was a stomp held in place long enough and he had to retreat with the support rotating around. But yeah, now they realize that they are behind. They need to make something happen. Smoked up, a crit and ace. No one else who exists, just farming up the Ancients. That's gonna be Stampede though, they're gonna go on crit. He's caught on the wrong side of town. He stole the Stampede actually. But I don't think it's gonna help him. He's locked between a rock and a hard place. And he will take the fall because of it. That smoke not working out so much, and Fata doesn't even care about the rolling axes. 4 points up into corrosive skin means extra magic immunity. Not immunity, but magic resistance, and it's gonna be a one-man smoke. Don't think they saw that. Yeah, he's gonna look for someone who wants to try and defend his top tower, but that's a lost cause, so I'm not gonna find anyone just yet. They walled up the Ancients, so no more stacking. Beastmaster not able to get anything, not too much from that, and he's just gonna take these weak dragons. They're worth a lot of gold. 182 on that one. He's gonna get the second one too, so about 400 extra gold from these two. Might find a hawk, nope. One hit, not quite enough for that. So yeah, let's take a look at the gold graphs. And yeah, Sigma, well ahead. 3,000 gold and about 2,000 experience on the back of these kills and that one first tower of the game. Just finding the better engagement angles, and a Viper this with a that kind of a start, he's pretty scary in the early game. Really hard to fight up against him. I mean, even when it was 3-on-1, he still managed to pick up Beastmaster during all of that. That was after he was below half health, and after he tries to teleport out. So gotta watch out for that. And Sigma gonna look to make that advantage count. Paris is farming really well. He's sitting on top of the CS board. I think he got lasted on the tower, so he's got face drums and another 900 gold. And face drums is probably the point where he can start fighting with an Ember Spirit without fearing too much, and they might find Exist here. There's a tier 1 tower still available, and Unicorn, Crit as well as Ace looking to help out. There's gonna be a roar onto Fata. Doom might come out as well. Not just yet. Nightmare gives Fata some time. Now he's come back with the Viper Strike, not getting it off on Unicorn though. Now finally he does, and Ace as well as Crit die in the back of that. Paris now Doing good damage with the Flame God, but to focus him down, exists in a lot of trouble now. Bane looks for these last couple of auto attacks, and he will get him. 4-for-1 trade so far, with Theta still being alive, and it's gonna be a team wipe. Mad doing the plays there. Mad and Pass both, giving Theta enough time. Only losing the Ember Spirit, who's caught out a little bit too far forward and controlled up. But hashtag space created, and now they're gonna heal up with the Leech Seed, as well as the Living Armor. They're gonna take the tier 1, and they will put up some pressure on tier 2. That was a disastrous engagement for Meteor Makers. And yeah, fake back, smoked up. Looking to go into the jungle, maybe they'll find someone else, but all of MYM back behind the tier 2 for now. Yeah, maybe just swap the smoke to get down to this tier 1 a little bit earlier. Paris already working on it. Theta now showing himself as well. Yeah, MYM can't engage into this. There's no glyph available, so this tier 1 tower is not long for the world. Gonna look to try and trade, but they don't have a whole lot of push. They don't have that. Glyph will not make that easy. And if they can't take this tower, it's gonna be healed up. Miguel now with the Stampede. He's looking for a good stomp. There's gonna be the blink, but the immediate lift. Overgrowth though keeps them in place. Doom will prevent the stomp from going off. It wasn't cooldown actually. Raw onto the Bane. But Nyx Assassin will die at the very end. Miguel, he doesn't care about the Doom. He's so tanky. He's going for Exist. Not quite fast enough just yet. Ace now with the Fiend's Grip up, and he will die. Or will he? Theta not choosing to go for him. But one last auto attack. One punch from the tree will pick him off as well. 3-for-0 trade. Check that. Make that 4-for-0 as they do manage to catch up to Exist down there. Parrots with the Searing Chains. And Miguel with the follow-up. He was doomed up, but he didn't care. They didn't have the manpower to try and focus him down. And he was still quite quick. Did get the blink stun off down here in the middle lane. Followed up by the Overgrowth. As a result, 2 of MYM's heroes caught out, and Theta is just doing work on the Viper there. They're gonna take a tier 2 off of that, so really effective. Winning team fights handily. And taking secondary objectives off of that. That's really what you want to do in Dota, and they're gonna start to snowball from here. Already 10,000 gold advantage, 15 minutes in. You don't see that all that often. More than 7,500 gold advantage, and with the Viper and an Ember Spirit that far ahead, gonna be in a good spot. MYM, they don't have split push. They have team fight, but Paris, very elusive. They won't get caught out because they committed so much in him. And in the meantime, the rest of his team clean up. Unicorn might be in trouble, but I'm not gonna go for him just yet. The illusion is gonna scout out quit in the sidelines. Yeah, they're gonna have to retreat here. With Theta also rotating around. If you caught someone with Viper Strike here, that hero would have been dead. Well, maybe not Unicorn, but crit, definitely. Bane is doing quite well, got his Arcane Boots. Got a gem as well. So, warding, not gonna be quite as effective, neither will this Nyx Assassin gank. Yeah, pass. Using Nightmare, Teleport's gonna come in. Stampede used into the Fiend's Grip. Theta now, doing work. Viper Strike up and crit. Mini not long for the world. Now we'll go for crit. Couple of Vortex should be able to clean him up. Rain Tap, and yeah, the War Runner coming in from the sidelines. Searing Chains on to Exist, so he's gonna be focused down by all of Sigma's heroes. 3 down for nothing on the back of that botched initiation coming out from Mini. They had a gem, they saw it coming, and now they're gonna possibly take a tier 3 off of that. Are there buybacks? It's 1 on Slag, but he's alive anyway. Might not take this, but they might at least do some damage. Glyph is available if they want to defend that. Yep, they use it now. And Sigma will probably back off. Oh, will they? Roar is available, and there's gonna be the lift on Theta. Viper Strike stolen by crit, and there's the Doom onto him, so he has to retreat. But Ember Spirit, he's not done yet. Paris picking off Ace with the Searing Chains. Nightmare to help him out. Nice Blink Stomp there. Onto crit, he's gonna go down. Unicorn trying to do what he can, but with the all of the AoE damage, he can't stick around there. Gonna be caught by Searing Chains, and he will die. Not gonna deny himself. Mini now, left standing, but not for long, and there's gonna be an early GG. Sigma, with the snowballing lineup in form of the Viper as well as the Ember Spirit, they made it work. 22-4, the final kill score. Really quick game. Sigma looking strong. MYM not able to execute their game plan. So, gonna take a short break and we'll be right back with game number 2 of this 2-game series, so don't go anywhere.